This video is brought to you by Nexon, and they wanted me to show off their new pet update, otherwise known as the Pawsitively Elite Training Update Part 2. It's the second half of the new Mabinogi summer update, and growing up I always had friends who were super into Mabinogi, so I was excited to hop into the game for the first time and give it a try. To get started, I'm going to go over their insanely useful guide for most of what we're going to be covering here. Now, like the name of this update implies, this one is all about pets. The focus this time is on how you can bond with your pets and go on adventures with them throughout Mabinogi's massive world. We're going to discuss how Fynn Beads work and how you should equip them on your pets, and I'm even going to show you some bonding in and out of combat with some of the pets that I already have. Now, in the world of Mabinogi, you can summon pets who become your allies throughout your journey. You can send these little guys out on expeditions, and they'll go out into the world for a while to do missions, but they'll always come back with something interesting. These pets range from all different types of cute creatures to giant skeletal dragons, but with the recent Pet Update Part 2, the pet system has gotten way deeper. As you can see here, as a pet trainer, you can use the power of fairies to actually capture the essence of a creature and turn them into pets using the power of Fynn. Now, the Pet Update Part 1 went more into how you can actually go about capturing and training new pets into Fynn pets, which are really cool versions of your pets that have new transformations and abilities. But now with the Pet Update Part 2, Mabinogi has introduced a new item called Fynn Beads. Fynn Beads are mysterious marbles composed of unique minerals. The gist of it is that these new beads are items that you can equip on your Fynn pet if you completed the process in the first half of the summer update that'll give your pet all sorts of new abilities on top of the ones that they gain just from being a Fynn pet. To equip a Fynn bead, you just have to place the bead in the Fynn bead slot, and you can get those slots by using the Courageous Borage perfume when you're using Fynn Sync on your pet. You can get the materials for that, of course, by completing the Magmel dungeons, which we'll go over in just a little bit. Now, if you see a different outline outside of a Fynn bead, that's actually because there are different grades or levels to a bead. The grade depends on how much power is inside of each bead. To use high grade beads, you're going to need a higher level burnishing skill. Burnishing is pretty much just a process that lets you awaken a faded Fynn bead into the correct ones that you actually need to use. And the reason that you need a high burnishing skill is because, of course, you can accidentally destroy your faded bead in the process, so a higher skill means less of a chance of that happening. With that said, we've talked a lot about how to get and equip Fynn beads, but what are the actual skills that you get from using them? Well, first off, there's Floral Shield. This skill creates a barrier of petals that'll surround your pet's body and guard them from incoming attacks. It doesn't last forever, but it's definitely a useful skill for keeping your pet active on the battlefield. Once you have your armor on and you really want to get the battle started, your pet could make use of the Pulling Force Fynn Bead skill, which creates a pulling force within a certain range around your pet, drawing enemies in from every direction. A great offensive skill is Fynny Punch, which lets your pet summon a rain of giant punches from the sky, crushing enemies all around you. If your enemies make it through the fists that are falling all over them, push them away with Repelling Force, another Fynn Bead skill that of course creates a gravitational field around your pet and sends everyone nearby flying. If you're in the mood to spread a little chaos on the battlefield, Rush of Wind is a Fynn Bead skill that lets your pet send out multiple gusts and twisters onto the battlefield, which go everywhere and damage anyone that comes near them. And finally, for when the battle gets a little too hectic or you're stuck licking your wounds, there's the Healing Bubble Fynn Bead skill, which allows the character to heal their HP and mana, which could be very useful when you're struggling in a dungeon. Now, I've got a few pets already that have helped me on my way to level 176, but as you can see, I'm in my homestead where you can use your Fynn Blossoming skill to create your Fynn pets. It starts with a questline that teaches you the Pet Trainer skill and everything about bonding and evolving your pets, eventually ending in a pair of brand new dungeons titled the Forest of Four Seasons and Dynamic Lands. These beautiful areas can be reached once you've completed the Peculiar Children questline with your Fynn pet. In the dungeons, you'll meet Fleur, a fairy said to hold the most beauty and power among her kind. She serves as a chief to the fairies and wants to take you on to show off her amazing grace and power. For those looking for more of a challenge after, you'll probably find that when you come up against Kerune, who runs the Magmel Guardians and wants to see what he and his men can learn from your main character. Fleur's dungeon, Forest of the Four Seasons, has a whole host of rewards. On normal difficulty, you can get a Fynn Bead of various different grades to power your pet up with, as well as a number of other useful items for this event, like the potent borage extract that you need for the perfume that I mentioned earlier. Fleur has a chance to drop her beautiful dress, which has a unique animation and comes in a host of different colors, as well as other pieces of her gear, like her wings or her tiara. With all the pieces combined, you can have your character looking like the gorgeous chief of the fairies. On top of that, your character also has a chance to win a high-grade faded Fynn bead that'll grant your pet a powerful version of one of those abilities that we mentioned earlier, and the dungeon also drops all sorts of useful perfumes and tons of glittering offering gems that have a huge value. On the other hand, you could instead tackle Kerune's dungeon, the Dynamic Lands, which also gives you a host of Fynn Beads and similar rewards to the dungeon that we just talked about, but the Dynamic Lands dungeon is the only place for you to get Kerune's horn, which is an item that you'll need to craft the piercing forest arrows for your Kerune bow, which is something that we'll talk about in just one moment. On hard mode, you'd get the same rewards that you get from the hard mode of Forest of Four Seasons, which we just went over, which of course include that high grade Fynn Bead. However, exclusively in Dynamic Lands, you're also able to get the Voice of the Forest appearance scroll, which will change your normal bow into the awesome Kerune style bow that you're seeing here. Complete the dungeon enough alongside your pet to eventually have all you need to become a Grandmaster Pet Trainer. During this process, there's all sorts of Fynn crafting recipes that you can discover and make for your pet to give them various buffs, and you'll even be able to create a special item that actually allows you to play with your pets once you use it. So use everything you've learned in this helpful guide on your way to becoming a Grandmaster Pet Trainer, and you can receive some exclusive effects for your character that'll make your future pets even more amazing, while also making magic crafting a bit easier. Try Mabinogi today and check out their new pet update starting with Fynn's quest, and thank you again to Nexon for sponsoring this video and giving me a reason to dive headfirst into this game from my childhood for a week. It was definitely fun flying around and just enjoying the cool anime vibes, and I suggest you check it out yourself by clicking the link in my description. Otherwise, that's all for now. This is Pineapple. Peace.